Welcome to Geometry Pre-AP. This will be our lesson on angles and working with the measures of angles. I'd like you to pause this video before we start going through the lesson and take a few minutes to list everything that you know about angles, the parts of an angle, types of angles, or anything else that you can think of about angles before we start this lesson. Give yourself a couple minutes just to see what you can figure out, and then restart the video once you got that done. Okay, so you should have a pretty good list of different things that you maybe could think of an angle. It's good to recall information before we start. That way you can see how much you remember and how much you need to practice on learning again. So here is a picture of an angle. If you want to pause this video and take all these words and plug them into the spots in your notes and see if you know where all the things go and see how you do. So pause the video now and put all that information into the picture. Okay, so let's see how we did. So first we have the vertex, which goes here. We have a ray here, and we have a ray here. We have the exterior of the angle, which goes out here. The interior of the angle, which goes in here. This is a side, and this is also a side. So the side of an angle consists of rays. The vertex of an angle is where the rays meet, and we have the exterior, which is outside the angle, and interior, which is inside the rays of an angle. So if you didn't have all those right, please add those in and correct your own notes so that you have those correct. All right, so we want to match the angle with this classification. If you want to pause the video and see how you do on those, that would be great. All right, so now that you've started the video again, let's see how we did. So you probably thought that this first one right here was maybe acute. This one was obtuse. This was acute. This one was maybe obtuse. This one you maybe thought was right. And this one was acute. All right. Well, I want you to understand that if these are the answers that you had, that in reality, all of these are wrong. The reason why these are wrong is because there's no number measures on any of these angles. So we're going based upon looks, and that can be very deceiving, especially if you're drawing your own picture. You don't always know whether the angle is acute or obtuse or anything like that at first. Okay, so you need to make sure you have number values in order to plug in any of these names for any of these angles. And there's also some little symbols that can help you remember. So remember that an acute angle has to have between a 0 and 9 degrees. Obtuse has to be between 90 and 180. Straight angle is equal to 180, and a right angle is equal to 100 or equal to 90. It has that little box on there. Now, if we go back here and someone says, well, this looks like greater than 90 degrees, I will say there's no scale in here, there's no nothing. So you don't know the scale. In reality, I can draw an angle that looks like an acute angle but could be an obtuse angle because I can change the scale on a coordinate plane and make it look like just about anything. So be careful of going on looks. All right. So the postulate we need to learn, we need to learn the angle addition postulate. This is postulate 1-8. So 1-8 is the number for this postulate. You want to highlight in your postulate and theorem sheet when you get them. Okay, and it says that if we have P in the interior of angle RST, then the measure of angle RST, which angle RST is this whole angle, is equal to RSP, which is this angle, plus angle PST, which is this angle. And I like to Schroderize things, so I always say the whole is equal to the part plus part. And that's my Schroederized version. You need to memorize this wording because this is important in proofs. And so, you can use your flashcards to help remember that. We're going to have to apply this. It's just like the segment addition postulate we learned the other day. So, If you want to pause the video for a second and see if you can work this problem, that is always a great thing to do. And then if you're not sure after pausing a video, you can turn the video on and watch me work through the processes of this problem. Okay, so now we've got this problem says find the measure of angle yxz. So yxz is this is what's unknown. And so we need to label the information in here. So this is wxz, which is this whole thing, is equal to 80. And we have the other parts already labeled. And so we know part plus part equals the whole. Okay. And so then when we solve this, we combine like terms. That's 4x, positive 5, negative 5 cancel out equals 80. And so for x is equal to 20. But again, this problem asks us to find this angle right here. So I gotta go back and plug it in. 3x minus 5. And so I plug in my 20. And so that's 60 minus 5, so 55 degrees. So the measure of angle yxz equals 55 degrees. You need all of this. If you don't have all this and you write it on a test, I'm going to mark it wrong because a number without any kind of unit measure or anything like that doesn't represent much of anything. So be careful of your units and make sure you put them in there. Okay, I'm going to put a star by this problem. This is your problem to do, so pause your video, work this problem, and start the video back up when you're done. Okay, now that you've worked this problem, I'm not going to give you all the work. That you're going to have to show me when you're showing me your notes from the night before. So make sure you have all your notes written down. So now that you've done this problem, you should be getting x is equal to 6 when you solved it, and you should have gotten your angles where angle DBC was equal to 34 degrees and angle ABC was equal to 45 degrees. And so if you don't have these right, you'll need to make sure you ask questions when you come into class the next day. If you got these right, then you're great and you're in good shape. But remember, if all you have is this, I'm not going to give you credit for what you've done. You got to have all the notes and all the work. All right, so when angles are congruent, in this case, there's a little sign. Let's correct this. This is equal to this. When angles are congruent or angles are equal, that also means those angles could be congruent. Remember that we talked about this with segments. Congruent means the same shape, same size. This means that they have the same measure. We don't know measure here. Okay, and so when angles are congruent, we mark it with this little congruent angle here, a little arc. And if there was a second pair, they would have two arcs across them. So that's how we mark congruent angles. That information is not always put in the picture, and you have to add it in there sometimes. They want you to put those information into the problems. Okay, so now we've talked about angle addition. I want you to think about the special angle pair types that we know. And so we know that this angle right here and this angle right here make this straight angle. So they should add up to be 180. So that leaves 38 for here. And so you want to use that information to find B and C also. We know this angle right here with this little mark is a 90-degree mark. And so we want to use these different pieces of information. Now these are congruent sides, so that makes this as 53. And so therefore we know these other pieces of information. And I want you to find D and F also using the angle addition postulate to find the missing angles. All right, and so this will be some of the work that you're going to want to show me. I put a star by it. That means I'm going to be checking that work. You may pause the video and finish these problems up. Okay, so this is the last little bit of information. I just go back over here. I plug this from the online textbook so that you can see all the vocabulary words here, so that you'll be able to go back and look at them. Again, the essential understanding question was you can use number operations to find and compare the measures of angles. So we're always talking about finding and comparing the measures of angles with algebraic operations to use. All right, and that ends our lesson.